Okay, so today is all about 80s showstoppers. So these are meals that when I was growing up as a little girl in the 80s, that if we had guests coming round, my mother would cook or get someone else to cook to show them that we were posh. So they're the meals that would impress in the 80s. So I'm going to show today why these meals shouldn't be left in the 80s and why we should bring them right back up to the 21st century and make them just as popular all over again. So to start with, we're going to cook a beef Wellington. So this is here 1 kilograms of fillet beef. So I'm vegetarian actually, but even I can appreciate a piece of good quality meat. So we're going to get that in the oven to begin with, and this is a several stage cooking process. So I think people often think that beef Wellington's really complicated to make, and it really isn't. It's just several steps that have to be followed, but complicated it's not. So to start off with, I'm just going to pat this meat dry. What I don't want is excess moisture on the meat, because that'll stop is from it browning nicely and roasting well. So that's the excess moisture off. And then I'm just going to rub some olive oil into it. Like so. And then we're just going to season with some salt and pepper quite generously. This is just ground black pepper. Okay, and then we're going to put it into an oven, really high heat at the moment for 220 degrees for around, if you want it kind of medium rare, I'd say 20 minutes. I'm going to cook it a little bit longer than that. My family like it a little bit more well done, so I'm probably going to put it in for about 30 minutes at this stage. Okay, and now we can get on with making our mushroom filling. So I've got my saucepan here, and then we're going to start off first of all by blitzing up some mushrooms. So we're going to use the food processor for this. Okay, so here I've got a mixture of portobello mushrooms and chestnut mushrooms. I've just chopped them, washed them and chopped them. When I say wash them, I haven't actually washed them in water because mushrooms absorb moisture in the water, and then when you cook them, that water comes back out and it'll make a really soggy mixture. So if you're cleaning mushrooms, you just need a damp cloth, take any dirt off them, and then that's the best way to clean them. So I'm just going to pop these portobello mushrooms and chestnut mushrooms into the food processor. Let's just pop the lid on. So I want to pulse these until they're chopped finely, but I don't want it to be a complete mush. I still want there to be texture to the mixture. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so what I need to get here is just about 50 grams, about 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to pop into this pan. I'm going to put it over a medium heat. And to that I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil as well. Just going to wait for this to melt down a little bit, and then we're going to add our mushrooms. Okay, so our butter is melted into the olive oil, so now it's time to add our mushrooms, which are chopped up really finely. So this is the consistency that you want for the mushrooms. So they're not completely pureed, but they're chopped really finely. So these are going to go straight into our butter and olive oil. And then to that, I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh thyme. I'm just going to pull straight off the stalks, pop in. It just really fragrances this mushroom mixture. And we're just going to start cooking this down. Okay, so our mushroom mixture now has been cooking down for about 10 minutes. So we're ready to add the next ingredients. So first of all, I'm just going to season with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then we're going to add to this 100 millilitres of a dry white wine. And then we're just going to cook out the alcohol. So we're just going to let this cook for another 10 minutes, and then that's the mushroom mixture done. Okay, so our mushroom mixture now has been cooking for another 10 minutes. So all the wine has been absorbed and we've cooked off the alcohol. It smells amazing. So I'm going to turn it off the heat now, and then we're just going to leave that to cool, and then it's going to chill in the fridge before we do the next stage. Okay, so our beef has finished its first stage of cooking. It's been in the oven at 220 degrees for around 25 to 30 minutes. It's time to get it out, let it cool, and then it's time to chill it. Okay, so we're ready to do the next stage of our Beef Wellington. So our beef cooked originally at a high heat for around 25 to 30 minutes. It then cooled and chilled. We cooked our mushroom mixture down again, let it cool and chilled, and now we can assemble the first stage. So I've got here just a normal chopping board, and then I've covered that with cling film, and I've got quite a large overhang because that's going to help us roll up our Beef Wellington in a minute. Here I've got prosciutto. So I really like to add prosciutto to our Beef Wellington, the simple reason being that I think it helps to keep the mushroom mixture packed tightly around the beef, which I think helps push all the flavour into the beef as well and keeps it all really nice and tight together. So we're going to lay our prosciutto slices over the cling film. So we just want to make sure you've got a good layer and that they're overlapping, because we don't want the mushroom mixture to fall through. So like I said, make sure that all the prosciutto slices are well overlapped. Nobody's going to complain about having too much prosciutto on their Beef Wellington. But I'll complain if all my lovely mushroom mixture leaks out. So we've done one side, and now I'm going to do the opposite side. Like I say, once again, making sure that there's an overlap of the prosciutto. So that's all well placed. So now I'm going to take some of the mushroom mixture and we're going to create a layer for the base of Beef Wellington. So just want to spread it across. Just enough to make a nice layer just to sit the beef on top of. This is cooked down so perfectly now, it's almost like a mushroom pate. So that's perfect. And then to that, I'm going to place our fillet of beef just right on top, like that. And then I'm going to take the rest of the mushroom mixture and place it on top of our beef. Like so. Spread it down the sides a little. So now we've got all the mushroom mixture into there. So we're just going to tidy up a little bit to help us have space to roll up. Okay, and then now I'm just going to take my cling film and pull it over the top of the beef, like so. And then pull our prosciutto off at this point, just until I've wrapped the other side. So again, taking the cling film and pulling tightly. And at this point, I'm going to keep this piece of cling film close by. I'm just going to fold up these edges. Like so. And then I'm going to take our cling film back over the top. And I'm going to wrap tightly around the beef. Okay, and that's ready. It's going to go back in the fridge and chill for another 30 minutes. So for the final part of our beef Wellington, we've now got our tray ready. So I've just basically got a baking tray. I've put some baking parchment on it and I've also put some flour on that so we don't want our pastry to stick. Then I've got 2 rolls of just shop bought puff pastry. You can make your own, but there's so many amazing puff pastries available in the shops now, it's really not worth the trouble. So I've just rolled out one of the puff pastries onto my baking tray to begin with. Here's our beautiful fillet of beef wrapped in our prosciutto and mushroom mixture, and we're going to put that straight onto our pastry. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of egg wash, so it's just a beaten egg with a little bit of water. I add the water because I find that it's easier to spread, to brush on. And I'm just going to egg wash all around the edges of the pastry. And now I'm just going to unravel our other piece of pastry. I'm just going to take it in one piece and lay it over the top of our beef, like so. And I'm just going to off a little bit of the excess on the edge, which won't go to waste in a minute. Just peel away a little bit of the excess. And using my fork, I'm just going to press the edges together. You can just press with your fingers, but I think it ends up looking a little bit prettier and more professional if we do it with a fork. Okay, so that's all pressed together. And so now, just to be a little bit fancy, I'm going to just cut out some little leaf shapes to go on the top with our spare pastry. Just take a little knife. This already has a little bit of egg wash on it, so it'll stick. And then we're going to egg wash the whole of the beef Wellington. We want it to have a lovely golden pastry when it comes out of the oven. Just going to make a little slit in the middle, just to let any excess steam out. There we go. I'm going to pop this in the oven now for around 30 to 45 minutes at around 200 degrees, depending on how you like your fillet steak cooked, edging on the longer time for my family, and then it should be the perfect beef Wellington. Okay, so the moment has arrived. Finally, we can get our beef Wellington out of the oven. I think it's clear to see just why this really was an 80s showstopper.